Okay, hello everybody. So today we're making homemade biscuits from scratch with a whipped strawberry butter. This is actually my first time making this recipe, so we're trying this out together, okay? Here we go. So what we're first going to do is we're going to start with 4 cups of self-rising flour. I think if you have all-purpose flour, it'll work okay. But self-rising flour is best if you have it. So we're gonna go ahead and start with 4 cups of self-rising flour. Also, before we start, you want to grate your butter. So just like you shred cheese, you're going to shred your butter. So your butter needs to be very cold. Your butter needs to be very cold, and then you just use a grater and you're going to grate it, okay? So we're grating the butter so that it melts evenly in the biscuits, and they actually create little air pockets as they are melting. So you don't want to use melted butter for sure for this recipe. So we have our 4 cups of self-rising flour. Then we're going to add in baking powder and baking soda. They are not the same. Baking powder and baking soda. Don't get them confused, okay? So I have here 4 cups of self-rising flour. I'm gonna add in 2 tablespoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Remember guys, tablespoons are the big ones, teaspoons are the little ones. Next, we're going to add in the butter, and we're going to incorporate it all together. Try to get as much of this butter out as possible. Obviously, make sure you've washed your hands really well before you start this. And you're just going to mix it all really well. This is actually the recipe from Magnolia table. So if anybody has ever seen Fixer Upper on HGTV, I absolutely love Joanna Gaines, and you can never go wrong with any of her recipes. So that's the recipe that we're following today. These are the actual biscuits that she serves in her restaurant in Waco. So normally what you would be using at this point is a pastry blender. I don't have a pastry blender, so we're working with what we got. So I'm using my hands. This would probably go a lot easier if I had a pastry blender. If anyone wants to get me a pastry blender for Christmas, I would appreciate it. Just kidding. Okay, so now that we have that well incorporated, now we're going to add in beaten eggs. So we're gonna have 2 eggs, and we're gonna beat them in a separate bowl, and then we're gonna incorporate them. So you're just gonna beat your eggs really well. That looks good. Okay. So we're gonna pour in the eggs. We're gonna mix it with a wooden spoon, just a little bit. And next comes the buttermilk. Okay guys, so I was not able to find buttermilk at my store. Not a problem. So the way that you make buttermilk is you get regular milk, and then you add white vinegar to it. So for every cup of milk that you use, you're going to use 1 tablespoon. Remember guys, tablespoon is the big one. You're gonna use 1 tablespoon of vinegar. So this recipe calls for 1.5 cups of milk, of buttermilk. So what I did is I added in a separate bowl 1.5 cups of milk, and then I added 1.5 tablespoons of vinegar, okay? I mixed it up really well, and now we are about to pour it in. It's not as sticky as I want it, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. Just a little bit more. You want this kind of sticky. Okay guys, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover it and we're gonna put it in the fridge for 30 minutes so it can rest. So we'll be back in 30 minutes. Okay, so after your dough has chilled for at least 30 minutes, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take it out of the bowl and put it onto a floured surface. So yes, now is the time to make a mess in your mom's kitchen, okay? So we're just gonna dump it out, get all the rest of it. Flip it a little. Add some more flour to it. And we are ready to start cutting out our biscuits. So we're just gonna flatten it out a little bit so it's about 1 inch thick. Now, if you don't have a biscuit cutter like me, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get resourceful and we're gonna use what we have. So I actually have the lid for a mason jar, and we're gonna see if this works. Here we go, lid for a mason jar. And we're just gonna start cutting out circles. Looks good. Also, before you started doing any of this, make sure that you preheated your oven to 400 degrees. Very first step that I completely forgot to tell you all about. So here we go. Here we have our biscuit. We're gonna put it, this is a non-stick surface that I have. And you're gonna actually want to place them kind of close together. That helps them rise better. They don't have to be perfect looking. That's the beauty of these biscuits. You want them to look a little rustic and homemade. Keep putting it together and keep cutting until you've used all the dough. I'm gonna add a little bit of extra flour. It's a little too sticky. There we go. And what we're gonna do at the end, before we put them into bake, is we're actually going to brush them, the tops, with a beaten egg. And there we have it. Last one I think we can get out of here. There we go. So you're gonna get 1 egg, you're going to beat it, and then you're gonna get a little brush, and you're just gonna brush the tops with some egg. And this is gonna give it a nice golden brown flaky crust. Okay, so these biscuits are gonna bake in 15 to 20 minutes. Make sure you are checking them. You don't want them to burn. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is we're going to make a whipped strawberry butter to go with the biscuits. So this is super easy. So what you're gonna need is a cup of butter, which is 2 sticks of butter. You're gonna need 2 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar. That is powdered sugar. And then a little bit of strawberry jam, strawberry preserve, strawberry jelly. Really as much or a little as you want. It just completely depends on your taste. Okay, so first we're gonna start off with room temperature butter. I am actually having to use 1 stick of butter, 1 stick of margarine because I'm out of butter. So, like I said, you use what you have. So we're just gonna put in the sticks of butter and then we're gonna whip them until they're nice and creamy. Okay, now that the butter is nice and whipped, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar, and then we're gonna cream that together. Stop it halfway through, scrape the sides. Okay, let it mix a little bit longer. Now to add your strawberry preserves. I'm gonna start off with 2 large tablespoons. Now I can tell already that I want some more strawberry consistency, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in a 1/3 tablespoon. We're stopping it, we're scraping the sides again. If you don't have a stand mixer like me, that's okay. You can use a hand mixer just as fine. This is definitely the strawberry consistency that I was looking for. We're gonna give it one last mix and then we're going to transfer it to a bowl and put it in the fridge to chill. And this is what we want it to look like. So now we're just gonna cover it and let it chill. I say let it chill for at least 30 minutes and then it's ready to go. There we go. This is what your end product should look like.